In the middle of a busy corporate lobby, something unbelievable happened. A poor janitor suddenly stepped in front of the CEO's private elevator and raised his hand to stop him. Employees nearby burst into laughter. A janitor stopping the most powerful man in the company? It sounded like a joke. "Sir, please don't go upstairs." The CEO froze, confused and irritated. Executives began whispering to each other, while security guards quickly rushed toward the scene. Did he really just block the CEO? Laughing mockingly. Within seconds, the guards grabbed the janitor and started dragging him away as people watched, some laughing, some shaking their heads. But suddenly, the janitor shouted one desperate warning that made the entire lobby fall silent. "Sir, your office, something is wrong." The CEO slowly turned around. Something in the janitor's voice sounded different. Not anger, not rebellion, but pure fear. Still, no one believed him. After all, he was just the janitor. But moments later, when security cameras zoomed in on the CEO's office floor, everyone in the lobby went completely silent. What they saw on that screen made the CEO's face turn pale. Two strangers were standing outside his office, and one of them was holding a rifle. In that moment, the entire building realized something terrifying. The man everyone ignored might have just saved the CEO's life. What happens next will shock everyone in that building and prove that sometimes the person nobody respects becomes the hero nobody expected. Writing. Welcome to Heroic Stories Hub. This is the place where ordinary people become unexpected heroes, where powerful stories of courage, kindness, justice, and life-changing moments come to life. Every story you hear here will take you on an emotional journey filled with suspense, inspiration, and powerful lessons. If you enjoy stories that touch the heart and keep you watching until the very end, then you are in the right place. Subscribe now and become part of Heroic Stories Hub, where every story proves that true heroes can come from anywhere. The guards tightened their grip on Marcus's arms and began pulling him across the lobby floor. Employees watched with curiosity, some whispering, others shaking their heads. "I can't believe he actually stopped the CEO," one woman said. "He must want to get fired," another replied. Marcus felt panic building inside his chest as the guards dragged him toward the security office. "No, please wait." One guard kept walking without slowing down. "You should have thought about that before causing trouble." Marcus turned his head back toward the elevator where Daniel Crawford was about to step inside again. His heart pounded. If Daniel went upstairs now, it might be too late. Marcus suddenly shouted with everything he had, "Sir, your office window!" The words echoed loudly across the lobby. Daniel froze mid-step. The elevator doors remained open behind him. Slowly, the CEO turned around. His eyes locked onto Marcus. The guards also stopped walking. Daniel's voice came out calm, but there was sharp curiosity behind it. "What about my office window?" Marcus was breathing heavily, his chest rising and falling rapidly. I saw something earlier." One of the guards sighed loudly. "Sir, this is nonsense." But Daniel raised his hand slightly, signaling them to wait. "Let him speak." The lobby grew quiet again as everyone leaned in to listen. Marcus looked around nervously at the crowd staring at him. His voice trembled. "I was cleaning the upper floors this morning." Daniel crossed his arms. "And?" Marcus swallowed hard. "I saw two men near your office." Whispers instantly spread across the lobby. "Two men? Who?" Daniel frowned slightly. "That's impossible." Marcus shook his head quickly. "They weren't employees." One executive scoffed loudly. "This is ridiculous." The guard holding Marcus tightened his grip again. "Sir, we should remove him now." But Daniel continued staring at Marcus. "Why didn't you report this earlier?" he asked. Marcus lowered his eyes in shame. "I tried." The lobby went silent again. No one listened. Several employees shifted uncomfortably. Marcus continued speaking, his voice shaky. I told one of the supervisors, but he said I should just focus on cleaning. The earlier laughter in the room had now disappeared. Daniel's expression became more serious. What exactly were these men doing? He asked slowly. Marcus hesitated for a moment, remembering what he had seen. They were standing near the window, looking down at the street. Lots of people stand near windows, one executive muttered dismissively. Marcus shook his head quickly again, but they were hiding behind the curtains. Daniel's eyes narrowed slightly, and Marcus's hands trembled. One of them was holding something. The guards exchanged quick glances. What exactly? Daniel asked. Marcus lowered his voice. A rifle case. For a moment, no one moved. The entire lobby went completely silent. One employee gasped quietly. A rifle? That can't be real. The guard nearest the security desk spoke nervously. That's a serious claim. Marcus nodded quickly. I know. That's why I tried to stop him. Daniel's face slowly changed. The irritation that had been there earlier was gone. Now his expression showed something else. Concern. He looked toward the guards. Release him. The guards hesitated. Sir? I said, release him. They slowly let go of Marcus. Marcus rubbed his arms nervously. Daniel stepped closer. Show me what you saw. The crowd moved aside as Daniel and Marcus walked toward the large security monitor wall behind the reception desk. The security officer quickly stood up. Sir, pull up the cameras for the executive floor, Daniel said. The officer began typing quickly. Employees gathered behind them, curiosity filling the room. Marcus pointed at the screen. The hallway outside your office. The camera feed appeared. At first, everything looked normal. Empty hallway, closed doors, a few lights glowing softly. One executive smirked. See? Nothing. Marcus leaned closer. Zoom in near the corner. The officer zoomed the camera slowly. The image sharpened, and suddenly, movement appeared. Two men stood outside the CEO's office door. They were wearing dark jackets and caps pulled low over their faces. The entire lobby gasped. One of the men was holding a long black case, the kind used to carry a rifle. The security officer's eyes widened. Sir, those men are not employees. Daniel's face went pale. The earlier confidence in the room vanished instantly. Marcus pointed again. They've been there since earlier. One guard grabbed his radio immediately. Security team, respond to executive floor immediately. Another guard rushed toward the stairwell. The building's atmosphere changed in seconds. Employees began backing away from the screens nervously. What's happening? Is this real? Daniel stared at the monitor without blinking. If Marcus hadn't stopped him, he would have walked straight into that office, straight into whatever those men were planning. Marcus stood quietly beside him. I'm sorry I caused trouble. Daniel slowly turned his head toward him. For the first time since the confrontation started, there was respect in his eyes. You didn't cause trouble. He looked back at the screen again. You may have just saved my life. For a moment, the entire lobby stood frozen, staring at the security monitors. Two unknown men were clearly visible outside the CEO's office on the executive floor. One of them held a long black rifle case. The silence in the lobby felt heavy. Then suddenly, "Lock down the building!" a security officer shouted. Instantly, alarms began echoing through the building. Red lights flashed near the elevators. Employees gasped and stepped back nervously. "What's happening?" one woman asked. "Is there really a weapon upstairs?" another whispered. Security guards began moving quickly through the lobby. "Everyone step away from the elevators," one guard ordered. Daniel Crawford stood still, staring at the screen. His face had lost all its earlier confidence. If Marcus hadn't stopped him, he would have walked directly into his office, right into whatever trap those men were preparing. Marcus stood quietly nearby, gripping his mop tightly. He looked nervous as the chaos unfolded around him. I didn't mean to cause all this trouble, he said in an uneasy voice. Daniel slowly turned toward him. There was a long pause. Then Daniel spoke calmly. You didn't cause trouble, he said in a serious voice. Marcus looked confused. You prevented something terrible, he said in a grateful tone. Marcus blinked in surprise. Meanwhile, security officers spoke rapidly into their radios. Team Alpha, take the stairs. Team Bravo, block the rooftop exit. Do not let the suspects escape. The anxious employees in the lobby moved toward the walls, watching anxiously. The earlier laughter and mocking comments had completely disappeared. Now everyone looked tense. Marcus shifted his weight nervously. I just noticed something strange while cleaning, he said in a modest voice. Daniel looked back at the monitor. The two men upstairs were now pacing slowly near the office door. One of them opened the rifle case slightly. Gasps spread through the lobby again. A security guard grabbed his radio. They're armed, confirmed. Marcus lowered his head slightly. I was scared no one would believe me. Daniel studied him carefully. And yet you still stopped me, he said in a curious tone. Marcus nodded slowly. I knew I might lose my job, he said nervously. He paused. But if something happened to you, I would never forgive myself, he said in a sincere voice. The CEO looked at him silently for a few seconds. Employees nearby exchanged uncomfortable glances. Many of them remembered laughing at Marcus earlier. The security officer suddenly shouted, "Movement on camera 3!" Everyone turned toward the screens. The two suspects upstairs had noticed something. One of them was peeking into the hallway nervously. They know security is coming, a guard said. Daniel clenched his jaw slightly. Be careful, he said to the security team over the radio. Minutes passed slowly. The tension in the room was almost unbearable. Finally, a loud voice came through the security radio. Suspects detained! The lobby filled with relieved gasps. Weapons recovered. Situation under control. Applause broke out among some employees. Others simply exhaled in relief. Marcus leaned slightly against the wall, his shoulders relaxing. Thank goodness. Daniel closed his eyes briefly. If Marcus had not blocked that elevator, he would have walked upstairs exactly when those men were waiting. Daniel turned slowly toward Marcus. The room grew quiet again. What's your name? He asked gently. Marcus Hill, sir, he said in a shy voice. Daniel nodded thoughtfully. Marcus, today you saved my life, he said in a grateful voice. Marcus's eyes widened in shock. Oh, no, sir, I didn't do anything special, he said in a humbled voice. Daniel shook his head slowly. You did something most people in this building would never dare to do, he said in a sincere tone. Several employees lowered their heads in embarrassment. Daniel glanced at them. Many of you saw him standing there earlier, he said in a serious voice. No one spoke. And many of you laughed at him, he said in a disappointed tone. The silence grew heavier. Marcus shifted his weight uncomfortably. It's okay, sir, he said softly. Daniel looked back at him. No, Marcus, it's not okay, he said in a firm tone. He turned to the crowd again. This man was brave enough to stop the CEO of this company because he believed something was wrong. A few employees nodded slowly. Daniel continued speaking. Most people stay silent because they're afraid, he said in a serious tone. Marcus looked down at the floor. But courage, Daniel said, placing a hand on Marcus's shoulder, comes from doing the right thing even when everyone else is against you. Marcus's eyes filled with tears. Daniel smiled slightly. Marcus, how long have you worked here? He asked curiously. Almost 12 years, sir, he said in a quiet voice. Daniel was surprised. 12 years, and today is the first time most people even noticed you, he reflectively said. Marcus gave a small, shy smile. That's usually how janitors are treated, he said in a sad but calm voice. Daniel shook his head slowly. Well, that changes today, he said in a decisive tone. The lobby grew curious again. Daniel faced the crowd. Starting tomorrow, Marcus will no longer be cleaning floors in this building, he announced voice. Employees whispered in surprise. Marcus looked confused. Sir? He questioned in a puzzled voice. Daniel smiled. He will be joining the building security team, he confidently stated. Gasps spread through the room. Marcus seemed stunned. Security team? He shockingly asked. Daniel nodded contentedly. Anyone who can notice danger before everyone else deserves to protect this building, proudly he stated. Marcus wiped his eyes quickly. I don't know what to say, he said in an emotional voice. Daniel shook his hand firmly. Say yes, he said in a warm tone. Marcus smiled through his tears. Yes, sir, he said in a grateful voice. Employees in the lobby began clapping softly. Some of them looked ashamed for how they had treated him earlier. Daniel raised his hand for silence one final time. Let today be a lesson to everyone in this building, he said in a powerful tone. The room went quiet again. Never underestimate someone because of their uniform, their job, or their position. Marcus stood beside him quietly. Sometimes the quietest person in the room is the one who sees the most. Daniel looked around the lobby slowly. And today, the man everyone ignored became the hero of this building. The room filled with applause again. Marcus Hill, the janitor no one noticed for 12 years, walked out of that lobby with his head held high. Hey, move away from that elevator. The loud, sharp voice echoed across the polished marble lobby of Crawford Global's headquarters. Conversations stopped instantly. Dozens of employees turned their heads toward the private executive elevator. Standing in front of it was Marcus. Marcus held a mop in one hand and a small cleaning bucket beside him. His gray uniform was slightly faded, and his shoes were worn from years of walking the building's endless hallways. Most people in the company barely noticed him, but today, everyone noticed him, because Marcus, the quiet janitor, was standing directly in front of the private elevator reserved for one man only, the CEO. The elevator doors had just opened, revealing Daniel Crawford inside. Tall, confident, and sharply dressed in a perfectly tailored navy suit, Daniel looked exactly like the powerful leader everyone feared and respected. Executives quickly stepped aside to give him space, but Marcus didn't move. The entire lobby seemed to freeze. Marcus raised his hand slightly, his fingers trembling. "Sir, please, you can't go upstairs right now." Gasps spread through the crowd. Two assistants exchanged shocked glances. "Did he just block the CEO?" one whispered. Daniel slowly stepped forward from the elevator, his expression calm, but his eyes sharp. "Excuse me?" he said quietly. Marcus swallowed hard. His heart was pounding so loudly he could hear it in his ears. I'm sorry, sir, but please don't go upstairs." A group of young executives standing near the reception desk burst into laughter. "Oh, this is good," one said, shaking his head. "The janitor thinks he runs the company now." Another executive smirked. "Someone should remind him who signs the paychecks." Marcus felt his face burn with embarrassment, but he stayed where he was. Daniel crossed his arms slowly. "Do you realize who you're speaking to?" Marcus nodded quickly. "Yes, sir, I know exactly who you are." The CEO studied him carefully. Most people avoided eye contact with Daniel Crawford, but Marcus looked both terrified and determined. "Then why," Daniel asked slowly, "are you standing in my way?" Marcus took a shaky breath. "Because something isn't right." A woman near the lobby couch rolled her eyes. "Oh, please," she muttered. Marcus looked around at the staring crowd. His hands trembled slightly as he tightened his grip on the mop. "Sir, please trust me." Daniel glanced at his watch, clearly irritated. "You're wasting my time." Just then, two security guards near the entrance noticed the commotion. They quickly walked toward the scene. "What's going on here?" one guard asked firmly. An executive immediately pointed at Marcus. "This janitor is blocking the CEO's elevator." The guard frowned. "Sir, step aside immediately." Marcus shook his head quickly. "I can't." The lobby erupted in shocked murmurs. "You can't? Is he serious?" The second guard stepped forward and grabbed Marcus by the arm. "You're causing a disturbance." Marcus looked desperately at Daniel. "Sir, please listen to me first." Daniel's patience was clearly running thin. "You have 5 seconds to explain yourself." Marcus hesitated. His mind raced. He knew no one would believe him, but if he stayed silent, something terrible might happen. I just don't think you should go upstairs right now." The first guard sighed in frustration. "That's not an explanation." The executive group began whispering again. "This is embarrassing. He's about to get fired." Daniel stepped closer to Marcus now, his presence intimidating. "What exactly are you suggesting?" Marcus looked down briefly, then back up. "I think something dangerous might happen if you go to your office." The words caused another wave of shocked whispers. "Dangerous? What is he talking about?" One executive laughed loudly again. "Maybe the mop water is dangerous." Marcus ignored them. His focus stayed on Daniel. "Sir, I'm not trying to disrespect you." Daniel tilted his head slightly. "Then what are you trying to do?" Marcus took a deep breath. "I'm trying to protect you." The lobby fell into stunned silence. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then one executive burst into laughter again. "This is unbelievable! The janitor thinks the CEO needs protection from him." The guards tightened their grip on Marcus. "Sir, we're taking him to the security office." Marcus panicked. "No, wait, please." Daniel remained expressionless. "Take him away." The guards began pulling Marcus toward the lobby hallway. Marcus struggled slightly, fear spreading across his face. "You have to listen." But the employees were already turning back to their conversations. To them, it was just another strange moment in the workday. Marcus twisted his head back toward Daniel. "Sir," he shouted one last time. Daniel had already stepped back toward the elevator. The doors opened again with a quiet ding. Marcus felt his heart sink. If Daniel went upstairs now, everything Marcus feared could happen. With the last strength in his voice, Marcus yelled something that stopped the entire lobby again. "Sir, your window off your office!" Daniel froze mid-step. Slowly, he turned around. The guards paused as well. "What about my office window?" Daniel asked quietly. Marcus was breathing heavily now. His voice trembled as he spoke. "Something isn't right up there." The guards looked annoyed. "Sir, he's clearly confused." But Daniel kept staring at Marcus. For the first time, the CEO noticed something different. Marcus didn't look crazy. He looked terrified. And sometimes fear told the truth better than words.